Good morning, everyone. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes just to help other people join in too till we get started. Hi, can you all hear me? Let me just go through the slides again. Okay, can you all hear me now? If you could just put it on the chat window. Awesome. I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. So cool. So hi, all of you. Good morning again. Great motivation to be here on a Sunday morning. I'm Shrikala. Here's a quick agenda on what we are going to follow today. A quick introduction about the experts who are going to be part of this session. What we have someone special joining us today from ISB who's going to talk about what it takes to get into schools such as ISB. And in the end, we'll have a quick Q&A. So some rules for this session, I would request all of you to put in your questions on the Q&A window. Initially, we'll focus on only what we have to focus on, which is, the agenda. In the end of the session, we'll like to take up questions and we'll make sure that we answer most of your questions, relevant questions with respect to ISB, right? So let me just quickly introduce myself. I'm Shrikala. I'm one of the co-founders and head of sales and operations, sales and admissions at Crack Verbal. And I have also, so I have great experience with respect to, working in the corporate industry. I was with HP for a long time, post which, I now focus on admissions at Crack Verbal. I'm also part of the Women Entrepreneur Program at ISB, which is the 10,000 Women Goldman Sachs Entrepreneur Program. I'm a fellow there, and I'm also part of the Cherry Blair Mentee Foundation, right? So that's a quick background about myself. And then our guest for today, we have Karan, who is the admissions manager at ISB. Karan, if you could just give a quick introduction about yourself, that would be great.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Shrikala. So my name is Karan Narang, and I've been working with ISB as part of the admissions team here. So majorly I look into the Young Leaders Program and the PGP program, what we have. And I have been working in the education sector since half a decade now. And before this, even I was on the other side where I was looking out for business schools to study. And just like any other millennial, I was confused. So I've also worked with Bain and Company. I've worked with Viacom 18 and all the other companies from media. And now eventually I made peace with education sector. So this seems to be more promising. And our job here is to help you guys to make an informed career decision when it comes to higher education, because this is a very important decision. So we help you to get some clarity of the business school you would want to join, and if ISB makes sense to you, and what it actually takes to be a part of ISB. So that's what we would be clearing it for you this month.
Thank you, Karan. Thanks a lot. So cool. So let's get started. Here's a quick picture. So, we have been helping students get into ISB for a long, long time now. This is a picture of one of the very first sessions that we did for ISB with ISB in Bangalore. So, we have, helped lots and lots of students. Here's a quick introduction of our mentors. These are the mentors who work with us to help students get into ISB. So these are all from various different kind of backgrounds, from finance or management consulting to sales to marketing to product management. So we have made sure that we have a great mix so that we help students based on their profile, based on their background, and based on their post MBA career goal, right? So that's a quick introduction about our mentors here. We also have an option where you can get your profile evaluated. Crackable has been helping students get into top schools for years now. We have, apart from mentors from ISB, we have mentors from all around the world, from all top schools, who help students get into and understand their profile to make sure that whether the decision they are making is the right decision in terms of why, what kind of schools they should select and how they should go about it, right from thinking through what schools to plan to helping them plan their applications, right? We also have, so I'm going to copy a few links on the chat window for all of you. We have a small questionnaire where we could also help you predict your chances of getting into ISB. ISB has been making sure that they get great potential, good students who have the potential to do great in their career. And since we have that understanding and background of helping so many students, we would be able to help you on your areas of improvement, and what are the areas you need to focus on when you are looking at schools, applying to top schools abroad or applying for an higher education, right? Cool. So here are a few resources that we have on the Crackable YouTube channel. Lot of essay analysis. In fact, the ISB essay analysis of how you should think through when you start applying to ISB is also there. Make sure you go through them when you get started with your applications. And obviously, there are essay analysis of other schools too. So just make sure you go through them before you get started. So before we, I hand over the control to Karan, I have a small poll that I want to take. I just wanted to understand how many of you are at what stage right now. So how many of you have taken your GMAT, because that's pretty much the first step for you to apply to any top school. If you could just put in your poll, put in your answers over there, we will be able to get an understanding of what are the kind of audience we are focusing on today. Awesome. So we have a lot of people who are still preparing. Okay, we have close to 87% people who are still preparing, 2% happy with the score. A few who are still looking at, not thought of it. Okay, and some people might plan to retake. Great, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I still have a couple of more people who've still not answered. If you could just quickly use the option, I will just close the poll. Great. Okay, thank you, guys. Cool. So over to Karan now. Hi, Karan. If you could just share your screen, I will just, sure. Yeah. Awesome. Yes, Karan, we can see your screen
Yeah.
now.
May I close this poll now?
Yeah, I'll just close the poll.
Okay, and is my screen live now? Can you see it on the full screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So, good morning, guys. Firstly, kudos to you coming to us on a Sunday morning. We know how it is. So it just shows that how keen you are with respect to your further education and your career. So welcome to ISB. And what we're going to discuss here today is to give you some insights about where ISB stands as of today, what we have been doing, what the class profile looks like, what are the learnings, what we have during that 1 year. And more importantly, we would be answering one single question for you, which is how far 1 year of your life can take you. So majorly, we will be concentrating on this one specific question. And with this one specific question, we will also help you to understand what your life would look like during 1 year. Because often we get to hear from a lot of people that MBA in India is almost for 2 years. How are you able to manage it between 1 year itself? So a lot of those type of questions is what we will try to give you some clarity on. Before we start, you might have seen a lot of communication which goes out. You might have seen the logos what we have here when we talk about Wharton, or maybe when we talk about Kellogg. So let me just give you a brief history about ISB. When the talks began to start an independent business school in India, so the first school when we went to was Wharton and Kellogg, because we had a lot of corporates on board. We had money with us, but we didn't have the expertise. So when you don't have the expertise, that's when you actually go to the experts, right? So during that time, Wharton and Kellogg were the top business schools. So that's when we went to them and we took their help to start ISB. And that's why they happen to be the founding schools for ISB as of today. Moving further from there, schools like London Business School, MIT, and Fletcher, that's where they joined us as well. So they happen to be the associate schools. So the kind of collaboration what we have here is purely on faculty exchange. It's on the research, what is being produced there comes to ISB and vice versa as well. So that's more of collaboration what we have with schools like Wharton, Kellogg, LBS, MIT, and Fletcher. Now, the other two logos, what you have seen, I'm sure if you are preparing for GMAT and if you have started a research regarding other business schools as well, you would see these two logos as well. One is AACSB and another one is IQUES. So these are the accreditations what we have. We were one of the youngest schools in Southeast Asia to get AACSB, and we have also got IQUES as well. So IQUES is more on the lines of European business schools versus AACSB is more on the lines of American business schools. Yeah. So when we talk about our vision, and it's been almost 18 to 19 years, and the reason I've kept the vision slide here is to remind you guys that how we are still aligned with our vision, which was decided years back. Now, it says our vision is to be an internationally top ranked, research-driven, independent management institute that grooms future leaders for India and the world. Now, I really want you to pay attention on the words like internationally top rank. In the next slide, where I will actually show you where we stand today in terms of FT ranking. So as of today, we stand number 24 globally. And in Asia, we stand number 4. And in India, we happen to be number 1. Later, when we talk about research driven, so that is something which every business school is known for, the research work done by the faculty. And again, as of today in India, we stand number 1 for research as well. Independent management institution. So the reason we wanted to be independent management institution is because we wanted to have a flexible curriculum. We wanted to change with the time, right? So I'm sure you might have completed your undergrad and you might have also felt what you have studied in your undergrad is more or less not relevant today. Okay, you might have learned a lot at job. You might have picked up quite a lot of skills at your workplace, as compared to what you actually studied in like theoretically in your undergrads. So for us to actually be independent management institution, it also helps us to start with the course in less than a week's time. So if we feel that there is a need of a specific course in a specific term, we can start with that course is because we are still independent. And yes, that grooms future leaders for India and the world. Over a couple of slides, we will also understand that where our alumni is today. They are not only in India, but they are outside as well. So they have been across the globe where they are not only at the senior position, there is a lot of alumni who are in the CXO level as well. So that's what majorly we are going to cover during this session. So now I have a video for you. It's by the Dean of ISB. He would just explain it to you why ISB and why you should look for a school like ISB.
Why ISB? One is we're probably one of the most innovative schools globally. I'm not just going to say India. And the reason is that we are small, we are flexible. A faculty member, if they want to start a new course, they can do it. Everybody has the right to start a new course. We are able to bring a new program at a moment's notice, including India inside. And the second really is, we've figured out how to get things done. So if you really want to learn about how to get things done in India, you come to us because we have a very close connection with the Indian corporates. And we also have a good idea and connections in the supply chains and so on. The second reason is, in addition to being innovative, we are a one-stop shop, if you will, for educational initiatives. We have the ability to bring in not only academics from ISB, we bring in our corporate partners as part of the educational and the learning exercise. We also have a lot of visiting faculty who come in on a regular basis. So we're able to integrate not only the Indian perspective with the West, but also more recently, the Indian perspective with the East as well. So you get a very, very balanced view out of ISB, which you would not get at other institutions where most of the curriculum is handled by the residential faculty. It's the dynamic nature of the solutions that we're able to put together. The last point I'm going to make, I'm a little hesitant about tooting a horn too much, is that we are frankly the best ranked school in India. We ranked number one for the MBA equivalent. We call it the postgraduate program. We are ranked number one in finance. We are ranked number one in entrepreneurship. We are ranked number one in research. So a lot of new ideas are coming out of ISB, and we have a very broad portfolio of programs. Our PGP, or the MBA equivalent, is roughly 1,100. We're amongst the largest in the world. There's a magazine in the US called Poets and Quants, and they were talking about the most desirable schools, business schools in the world. Number one, not surprisingly, was Harvard, followed by Stanford, followed by Wharton, followed by MIT, and ISB was number 5. Now, of course, we benefit from fishing in a rather large proportion called India, but yet to be globally number 5 in terms of students' interest is incredible. Secondly, we have a broad portfolio within the PGP or the MBA equivalent. We have programs where we average 4 to 5 years in experience. Another program for working professionals, we average about 10 years in experience. And for the executive MBA, executive PGP Max or executive MBA, we are now averaging about 16 years of experience. In addition, we have launched advanced management programs that focus on things like healthcare, manufacturing, infrastructure management, business analytics, and public policy. So we have probably one of the broadest portfolio programs globally, one of the largest, and I might like to add, one of the best in terms of quality.
So he's the Dean of ISB. I would just second him with the slide, which you can see here is, yes, we are number 5 when it comes to most desired global business school. It's pros and cons. Now, as I've spoken earlier, we are number 24 according to FT MBA global rankings. Now, this makes us number 4 in Asia and number 1 in India. When it comes to MBA for women, we are ranked 26th. Finance 44 and research 87. However, when you see MBA for women, finance or research, we are 26, 44, 87. But in India, again, we rank number 1. Now, let's talk about the value proposition, like what ISB has to offer. Now, this could be applicable for any business school you would be applying for as well. So while you are looking out for business schools, look on these parameters, look on the lines of their faculty, the learning, the network, the facilities, what they have, and the career opportunities, what they have post your MBA. So it could be applicable for any business school you are applying for. So right now, what I'm going to talk to you about is what ISB has to offer. The first thing is the world-class faculty. Now, as most of you already know, the batch size for this year is 896 students, right? And we have 70 plus resident faculty here already. They stay on campus, right? So now in order to cover the entire batch size, we also have visiting faculties. Now, these visiting faculties are coming from various other business schools as well. So the way you saw Kellogg, Wharton in the first slides, LBS, MIT, Fletcher. So not only from there, but there is a lot of faculty, which is also coming from NUS, Michigan, and a lot of other universities as well. So most of these faculties, they are a part of the area leaders in that specific sector, and they are the one actually coming here to teach the business management to you. Now, when we talk about the learning, so this is a way what your 1 year would look like, right? So there are 14 core terms where you can opt for almost 80 there are 80 electives to choose from, and they are spread over 8 terms here. So let's say the first 4 terms would be the terms where which are compulsory for you, and later terms is where you can actually go for your specialization. Obviously, being number 1 in India, the methodology what is being used here is case-based. So you should be ready to read the case prior coming to the class. Now, when we talk about applied learning, we have something called ELP, which is Experiential Learning Program. Now, since it's a 1 year program, we don't have internships here. You don't have internships because we expect you to actually have 2 years of work experience before starting your PGP, right? So we don't have internships. But what we have for students here is ELP, where they are actually doing live projects with a lot of other companies based out of India. Now, to give you an example, when Magnum was about to launch in India, so that's where they actually reached out to the students of ISB to figure out a way to actually enter the market. So that is where the students of ISB, they work with the top level management of the company to help them actually enter the market. The second thing is PAEV, which is planning an entrepreneurial venture. So a lot of you who are interested in entrepreneurship, we have an entire term on that where you are asked to make a business case for yourself, like come up with a business plan. And we put you in front of the investors. And eventually, if you are able to impress the investors, that's where they actually invest in your business as well. Now, as most of you know, that we are very sensitive about the kind of people coming to the class, right? The reason is the peer learning, because yes, we do understand a lot of learning is happening from the faculty, but there's a lot of peer-to-peer learning as well, because for the entire year, you are on campus. It's a residential program. So during the day, you are going for your classes, you come back to your student villages, your hostels. That's where you spend a lot of time with your peer group. So a lot of learning is happening. So we make sure the kind of people you're surrounded with, you have something or the another to learn from. So when it comes to peer learning, we do have international exchange programs to actually make it a little more rigorous, I would say. You also have your professional and club activities going on. Apart from that, you have your seminars and conferences, the way you can see it on the next slide, which is events and competitions. So we have ILS, which is ISB Leadership Summit, Advaita, Bandhan, and other global and national competition. And I'm sure it's too much for you to handle right now, is we have 1 year to complete our MBA, plus we have these kind of activities. This is what ISB is looking for. People who can manage a couple of things together. So this is how the program gets a bit rigorous, yes, but that's for you to eventually manage. And trust me on this, for the initial month, or the way we actually talk to students, for the initial month, it gets a bit difficult, but by the end of the course, they are so used to it that when they actually enter the corporate life, they are able to perform much more as versus what they were doing before their PGP at ISB. Okay, so I have another video right now, which would actually talk to you on the lines of alumni, where they are and what's the kind of network. Because if you remember our value proposition, what we actually spoke about, the quality network. So this is just to give you a gist of where our alumni are as of today. Okay.
For me, one of the most inspirational moments in my life was when I watched Leander Pace win the Olympic bronze medal at the Atlanta Olympics. To see him stand on the podium, to see him win that medal, to see the Indian flag going up, to see that tear rolling down his cheek, I think was really inspiring. And at that very moment, I decided that I wanted to play for India at the Olympics. And that was the start of my dream.
My time in the US was when I was first exposed to the internet in a really big way. I still remember opening up my Gmail account when I was in university, and it had been about 15 days since it happened. And there was a lot happening around that, because just right after the dot-com bubble, a lot of new business ideas were coming in. We were far more cautious.
So I remember the moment quite clearly, sitting at my desk at Goldman Sachs. This would have been 2003. And as an equity analyst, reading a tremendous amount on both China and India and the opportunities that this part of the world presented. And knowing that these are big and complicated markets, and knowing also that the only way to really gain context and understand was to be in them, I quit my job, put on a backpack for the next year and a half, and I traveled extensively throughout Southeast Asia, Asia, and in India for about 9 months. During that time, I traveled via trains, north, south, east, and west, to try and gain an understanding of this country, and was struck by the extraordinary opportunity, both professionally as well as personally.
Personally, when I think of Groupon, I think this is perhaps the best shot I will get in changing the way Indian consumers engage with the internet.
Olympic Gold Quest was founded by two of India's sporting legends, Geet Sethi and Prakash Padukone. The mission of OGQ is very focused to help Indian athletes win Olympic medals. All of us have been athletes, all of us have been through the grind, and we have been frustrated that the talent was there, but the support system never existed. And that's what OGQ aims to do. We aim to bridge the gap between where Indian athletes are currently and where we need to be to help challenge for Olympic medals.
So Spada is an early stage venture capital firm operating in India, focused on what we call essential services. India has a very vibrant venture capital ecosystem, but much of that money is focused on technology. We fund nuts and bolts businesses operating in the last mile, which are critical for improving livelihoods, and we think very important to the continued growth of the backbone of India.
Everyone in my world knows this. The 1 year at ISB completely changed me as a coach.
I think for me, at ISB, the biggest learning experience has been from the entire group environment, be it in study groups, be it with your classmates, be it with your bodies.
Here I was like this linear science guy with just one unilateral perspective, and suddenly these multiple dimensions come in.
All coming from diverse backgrounds. One was an entrepreneur, one was a sales guy, one was a typical IT geek, and here was I, a sportsman.
When I look across the broader early stage funding ecosystem in India, I find entrepreneurs, I find venture capitalists, I find people in the startup community from across the ISB batches. There is a tremendous amount of entrepreneurial activity that comes directly out of the school. In fact, the first deal we did out of Espada Investment Advisors was found via the ISB networks and negotiated right here in this room.
When I look at my year or years post ISB, I think two things really changed. One is my ability to take risk. I'm a lot more confident, and as an entrepreneur, that is extremely important. And second is the network. The ISB alumni today is spread across the entire world, almost every company that you can think of. And as an entrepreneur, I know that these alumni of these companies are either my future clients or my future service providers. That for me is the ISB.
As someone with 8 years of work experience in IT services and a mother to a 1-year-old, ISB for me was the answer to the question, where can I go for world-class business education without really compromising on these initial very special years with my daughter?
For me, it was the perfect bridge back to India. I don't graduate with my degree only, but also with my business plan.
One thing that ISB really teaches you is to be humble. When I walked in, I was like this big guy. And then my study group, one guy is an army major, 21 years of experience. The other guy is an IIT Delhi grad, 9th rank. And the third guy is a national level footballer. And when you look at myself, just another little challenger.
To learn by doing, in short span, life altering, life changing, inspiring,
Immaculate.
Change the status quo.
exhilarating.
Prioritizing.
I'm ready to get transformed by ISB.
Okay, so every time I look at this video, and I was just going through the video maybe for the 1000th time already, it gives me goosebumps, trust me, because there are so many stories at ISB, and these were just 3 stories what you saw. On the same lines, we have more than 10,600 stories here at ISB. There are people coming from different backgrounds. There are people coming from all over the place, all over the country as well as the world. And everybody is looking forward to reach somewhere. And they think that ISB is one of the schools which can actually help them to go forward. So as you can see already on this slide, so the kind of network what we have when it comes to alumni, it's already about 10,600. We just crossed 10,000 mark this year. And as I was already talking to you about the CXO level, the top leadership what we have, it's almost 5% of the entire alumni base what we have, they are already at the CXO level. About 530 plus of them, they have either opted for entrepreneurship, or they have a company of their own, or they have gone back to their family business, is what you see in the alumni network here as well. When it comes to gender diversity, about 75% of them are males, and the industries what they are working in, if you see. So the highest is technology, which is 18%, and consulting is 13, e-commerce is 8, 7 is healthcare, and finances 13. Now, if you look at the bottom of the slide, it says 41 countries, India 83%, rest of the world is 17%. This is actually to give you a fair idea about, since whenever you are looking forward for your MBA, I would actually suggest you, and a lot of people on the on the website, and I'm sure even Crack Verbal would tell you the same thing. Look forward to the MBA where you are actually about to spend your life for next 10 years. Let's say if you want to stay in India itself for next 10 years, look forward for the best business school in the country. So this is actually giving you an idea. About 83% of them, they opted to stay in India, and they opted for ISB, and now they are in India itself. Also, having said that, 17% of them, they have moved out of the country. It also means that ISB can take you places as well. Now, this is one of the questions which we get to hear a lot of times. What is the difference between Hyderabad campus and Mohali campus? So in terms of your curriculum, faculty, everything else, there is actually no difference. When it comes to your faculty, it's almost the same faculty coming to both the campuses. The curriculum is almost the same, right? When you are actually sitting for an interview in front of a company, let's say during your placements, we don't tell them which campus do you belong to. So the entire cohort from one of the campuses is brought to the other campus, and the placement happens on one single campus. So technically, the company doesn't know which campus you belong to, unless you tell it during your interview. The second thing is the certificate what you get from us. It doesn't even specify there, was it Hyderabad campus or Mohali campus, because at the end of the day, it's one school for us. So wherever you are, you are from ISB, you are an alumni of ISB, like you not from Hyderabad or Mohali. If forcefully asked to give you a difference between both the campuses, I would say in Hyderabad, you can get amazing biryani, and in Mohali, you can get amazing butter chicken. But apart from that, there is actually no difference in both the campuses. So one more doubt what you might have is if you're allowed to give your preference. Yes, you are. So while you're filling up your application, you can let us know either you want to opt from Mohali campus or Hyderabad campus. We will try to give you your preference. But in few cases, while averaging out the batch for both the classes, there might be a situation that you might have opted for Mohali campus, but you have been allotted Hyderabad campus. But that decision at the end of the day stays with the admissions committee. But in most cases, we try to give you your preference as well. Now, I'm sure this is the best part for most of you, and you are keen for this as well when it comes to career assistance. So apart from placements, placement is just a byproduct of what you do here, right? So we have a team in place, which is SEAL team. They actually take care of your learning and development during that 1 year. They make sure that you have amazing opportunities when it comes to your clubs, the aspirations and the skill gap assessment, what you have. So let's say where you want to reach versus where you are. So they would be the one constantly working with you the entire year to make sure that you attain those skills where you eventually want to reach. And yes, skill enhancement as well. On the other hand, we have career services, which is, we call them your CAS, which is Career Advancement Services. They are helping you out right from day one. They have one-on-one discussion with you where you stand today, where you want to reach in next 1 year. They help you to bridge the gap as well. And they are the one to help you with corporate relations. They are the one, and they also have regional outreach offices. So the Career Advancement Services team here, the placement committee, what you generally might have heard of in your undergrads. So these people are thorough professionals. They have a team of more than 30 people, which is spread across the country. They have the office in Delhi, Bombay, and other places as well to help you to get the right company. And they make sure that you are sitting in front of the company of your choice in most cases, and also where you land eventually after that 1 year of program. So you will have a lot of interactions once you're on board with the CAS team here. So these are some of the things which the CAS team helps you with. They help you with the career coaching, with the sessions and the workshop. They will also help you with writing resumes, skill building, networking. This is very important. Trust me, once you, since you are already working now, and once you go further, once you have more work experience, you will realize how important networking is. And on the same line, how important soft skill is as well. How you talk, how you present yourself, be it an interview or be it during a networking session, how you actually present yourself, the soft skills, which is important. How you can actually search for a relevant job for you, and eventually how to actually enhance your LinkedIn profile, because your CV and your LinkedIn profile should say the same thing. It shouldn't happen. There are something else on your CV versus there's something else on your LinkedIn profile as well. So this is a list of recruiters. This is not the exhaustive list. We still have a lot of companies coming to us, but these are a few companies who have come to us in last couple of years. I'll just leave the slide here. You can look out for your favorite logo, and I'll move to another slide in a minute. Okay, so this is something which you are really keen. There's the placement statistics for 2019. So out of 884 students who actually participated in the placement this year, we had almost 220 companies coming on board. The offers which were rolled out was 1309. When a specific offer is given, so it doesn't work on the lines of if you're given an offer, you have to take that offer and you're out of the placement. It doesn't work that way. Here you are allowed to decide between two offer letters. So if you have received an offer, you still get an opportunity to sit for another placement, and then eventually you can decide. Now, if you remember the FT rankings, what we were actually talking to you about, so they did a survey. So now when it comes to FT rankings, they actually reach out to the alumni who have been in the industry for almost 3 years after graduating. So when they check the salary, what the kind of salary they entered while starting with their PGP course, when they entered ISB, which is pre ISB salary, versus where they are today after 3 years of completing their PGP course, they have found the difference is almost of 187%. Now, this brings us to number 3 globally in terms of salary growth. And this information is from the FT rankings itself. Now, the second part of the slide, what you see is career shifts. So a lot of you have this question that I am in operations, I would like to move to finance. I am in operations, I would like to move to marketing, vice versa. So a lot of you either want to have a career, industry shift or a function shift. So if you look at the numbers here, you see that's actually quite possible. You will be able to shift your career if you are looking forward for your MBA as well. And that's okay. That's a fair reason to give it to the interview panel as well, that you are looking forward to shift either your function or your industry, but make sure you have something to back it up. It shouldn't happen that you are in your, if you are part of operations and you would want to move to marketing just because you think marketing is glamorous, please don't give us those answers during the interview, right? So give them a few reasons where you think that a marketing role is more suitable for you. Maybe you have worked, you have interned in that area before, or maybe you have had some kind of experience in that area before, and that's where you think you would want to move. You would want to move to another function or shift here. Now, when we talk about the class profiles, so the blue ones is Hyderabad campus, and the second one is the Mohali campus. So the earlier judgment which I made on there is actually no difference between both the campuses. This will actually support that judgment of mine, where there are almost 603 students in Hyderabad and 293 in Mohali. When we talk about the gender diversity, the average gender diversity is 39% female and 61% male. Now, if you see for the Mohali as well as for Hyderabad, it's almost the same. Now, when it comes to GMAT as well, the GMAT ranges from 600 to 770 almost on both the campuses, and the average which happens to be is 710. Same goes for GRE as well. It's 311 with 334. Now, when we talk about the international passport holders, it's 14, right? But more than the international passport holders, we have a lot of students who have worked outside the country and they would want to come back to pursue their job here as well. So now let's say after their undergrad, they have been working outside India, but now since they want to start working in India, they consider ISB as one of the options to go ahead with their PGP course and then eventually settle in India or maybe go back outside again. When we talk about the work experience is almost 4.3, which happens to be the same. And the engineers versus non-engineers ratio, this year what we have is 68 to 32%. Yes, we do have about 68% of engineers in the class. Where are these people coming from? People are social activists, they are bloggers, they are patent holders, drama and theater artists, they are sports person, they are doctors, people from defense, army, they are from navy as well. So a lot of other people. So, and yes, obviously we have people coming from a normal, let's say, mass communication background, or maybe an engineer from the IT sector as well. So we do have those kind of people as well. So this is what to show you the diversity in the class what we have. Because let's consider if there is a case given, okay, by one of the professor, and if you have somebody from the IT sector versus a doctor versus somebody from let's say maybe a modern, and versus somebody from the army or maybe a merchant navy. So everybody would have a different way of looking at that case. And that's where the learning happens. If you have heard Uncle Variko already, he said that earlier he had a very unilateral way of looking at the problems, right? There's only one way to solve the problem. But when you're sitting with a lot of these people in the class, you would actually realize that there are different ways of solving a problem as well. So that's why we are so keen on diversity and bringing a diverse batch together. Because at ISB, ISB decides where you actually sit in the class as well. So eventually you would realize that no two engineers are sitting together, because we will make sure the learning which is happening, the peer-to-peer learning which is happening is actually there, and you would actually learn a lot from that as well. Now, moving to the admissions here, what are the modes of entry to start your PGP? What is Young Leaders Program? What is early entry option, PGP? So PGP, which is 1 year full-time course, what we have. So for those candidates, if you are still in your undergrads, if you are still doing your undergrads, if you're in the pre-final year or your final year, you can opt for a Young Leaders Program. Young Leaders Program is one of the entry route for PGP. All right, so there are 3 different stages for Young Leaders Program. Stage 1 is where you have to give us your basic profile, your personal details, your awards and achievement. You have to write an essay question, and you need to submit your application. So in Young Leaders Program for stage 1, we are not asking you for your GMAT or a GRE score. That is only in the second round, second stage, where we ask you for your GMAT or GRE score. We ask you for a recommendation, and we ask you to write another essay question. And the third stage, if you clear stage 1, stage 2, you go to the stage 3, which is the interview round. If you clear the interview round as well, you become a YLP admit. That is where you go back to the industry for 20 months. You complete 20 months of work experience being a YLP admit, and then you join the PGP course. Few points to remember here is when it comes to YLP, it's okay to have 20 months of work experience. But when we talk about early entry option and PGP route, these are 2 different routes with at least needs 2 years of work experience. Right now, the difference between early entry option and PGP here is for those candidates right now who are completing 2 years of work experience till 31st of March 2020, which is next year. If you complete 2 years of work experience, you can come to us with normal PGP route, which is if you get selected this year with your application in the application process, you join the course in April 2020. But in case if you're not able to complete 2 years of work experience till 31st of March 2020, you can still start your application this year, but you will only be admitted to the class in 2021 or whenever you complete 2 years of work experience. So early entry option is just a way of getting deferred admission. It's just a check saying that you are admitted to ISB, just complete 2 years of work experience, and that is where you can join the class. So that's the difference between Young Leaders Program, early entry option, and PGP 2+ years. What are the qualities we are looking forward to in a candidate? the course itself is academic driven, right? So we are looking forward to your academic credentials just to know if you will be able to keep up with the academics what are happening on at ISB as well. So we do look into your academic credentials here. The second thing what we are also looking for is the leadership question. Where you come from, what are the things what you have actually done at your workplace, or maybe it could be in your personal life as well. Sorry, but planning a trip to Goa would not be considered as a leadership question here. But what you have actually done during at your workplace, or maybe in your personal life, what are the leadership qualities what you have showcased? And the third thing what we are looking forward to is the personal attributes as well. What makes you a different person? Like let's say somebody, if you've seen the video already and the class profiling, coming from an army background, or maybe a doctor, maybe an engineer, maybe somebody from mass communication background as well. So what are the personal attributes what you hold as well? What makes you as a person? Now, when we talk about the application process, that's fairly simple. So by now you might have understood the essentials what we have for the program is the bachelor's degree, right? It could be a 3-year or 4-year bachelor's degree where you need to have work experience to start the program. You need to have 2 years of work experience to start the course, but to start your application, you could even come to us if you are a fresher. You would eventually be a part of the class once you complete 2 years of work experience. The third thing which is important is GMAT or a GRE score, which I will spend some time here. A lot of you think that when it comes to ISB, you need to have 700 plus GMAT only to get an admit for ISB. Yes, if you see the average, it says it's 710, but nowhere it says that you need to have 700 or 710. If you actually recollect the slide which I played earlier, was the range what we have. It starts from 600 to almost 770 this year. So we do have candidates, and trust you me, there is somebody in the class with 610 who's a mechanical engineer. So it's not only that if you are an engineer, you need higher GMAT. If you are somebody from a diverse background, you need a lower GMAT. It doesn't work like that. It's more about where you're coming from. So even if you have 600 or 610, and if you think that that's your best score, what you have achieved, we would actually ask you to go ahead with your application. But if you think that you can do much better, you might as well take the GMAT one more time as well. Now, when we talk about the online application here, we are looking forward to your academics, what you have scored in 10th, 12th, and graduation level. We are also looking at the employment details, the work experience, what you have. And we ask you to write 2 essay questions. So in terms of when it comes to fresh applicants, they write 2 essay questions. And if you are a re-applicant, you would be writing 1 additional essay question as well. And the fourth thing is the recommendation. Now, the recommendation, how it works at ISB is, it's not something which you ask one of your mentors or your colleague or the managing director to write a letter. You sign it, stamp it, and you scan, you send it to us. It doesn't work like that in the application form here. So to give you a hint, you need to give us the details of your recommender. You need to tell us where he's working, what his email ID, and you will be able to send a link to them. They will have to open the link and answer the questions for you. It could be subjective, objective. So there is this question, who should be your recommender? Should it be the managing director of the company, or should be your immediate supervisor, or it could be a friend or an acquaintance? So we are actually looking forward to know about you from someone who has known you much better, like who knows your strengths and weaknesses. So if you think that you have worked with the managing director more closely as compared to your reporting manager, it would make sense for you. But just to get the designation, a heavy designation on the recommendation, it may not go in your favor, because we are trying to know about you, right? And also the recommendation, while filling that up, that's one-time process. You cannot save and come back to it later. You have to fill it in one time. So also somebody who has those 30 to 45 minutes to fill in that recommendation for you. So you really need to go back and think that who is the one who will be who knows you in and out, and who is willing to spend those 30 to 45 minutes writing about you over there. Now, when we actually talk about the essay questions, so there are two major things what we are looking forward to in any essay question. So if you have seen and if you have noticed essay questions in last couple of years, most of them, they revolve around two things. One is the uniqueness and the second one is career goals. Uniqueness on the lines of, if you see the essay question this year, it talks about why you should be one of the students at ISB out of the batch of 900. It's talking about your uniqueness, what makes you unique as compared to 900 students. And a lot of students who are engineers right now, they would think that we are engineers, what is unique about us? Trust me, everybody has something unique on their profile. You need to deep dive, you need to think over it, and you need to list it down, what makes you unique, or just list down the kind of things you have done in the past, build up a story around it, and make sure while you're answering the essay questions, you are literally answering the essay question. Don't diverge from the entire topic while answering the essay questions. Also, what you could do is while you're answering these essay questions, just hide the question and ask somebody else to read the answer for you. And if they are able to figure out what the question was, it means you have answered that correctly. And make sure that you're using active voice in the essay question, because you have a limit of 400 words in both the essay questions. So you need to make sure that you are answering in those 400 words. Trust me, it looks a lot, but once you actually start writing within the limit of 400 words, that's where you will actually go through a lot of editing as well, and your art of writing would come out. The second part of the essay question would be the career goals, where the question this year is, where do you see yourself in 2025 and where do you see yourself in 2030? That is nothing but asking you your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Where do you see yourself? And writing that you would be the CEO of an MNC here, yes, no doubt you would become one. But we are specifically asking you about where do you see yourself in 2025 and 2030, right? So come up with something which is more realistic by that timeline accordingly, where you want to reach and how do you think that ISB will help you reach there. So that is something which you need to work on. And remember, essay questions are very, very important when it comes to your application, because don't waste the word limit on talking about what you have done during your academics, what you have done during your class 10th, 12th, graduation level, your awards and achievements, because that's something which we are asking you already, right? You have filled in that information already. So now we are looking forward to something which is more to you than your marks, something which makes you a unique person, a unique student in the class. So use this real estate not to repeat what you have already mentioned in your application process, but something more about you. So now when we talk about financing the program, so there are a couple of ways. One is the company sponsorship. So let's say if you have an offer letter from ISB, you can go back to your company, mostly the HR department, and you can ask them if they are willing to sponsor your PGP course here at ISB. And if they are nothing like it, there would be some bonds which you would need to sign with your company, which you can look into. The second thing is the personal savings. And the third one is loans from financial institution. Yes, we do understand the fees is a little high. What you can do is you can always club your personal savings with the loans and the financial institutions. So most of the banks and the financial institutions are listed on the website already, about 18 to 20 banks already. So once you have an offer letter, you can call up any of the banks, and most of them, they would actually give you loans which are collateral free. So you don't have to pledge anything to get that loan from ISB for ISB PGP course. And the fourth one is the ISB scholarships. So majorly we have merit-based scholarship and the need-based scholarship and the corporate scholarship as well. So all of these are listed on the portal. So for merit-based scholarship, you don't have to apply separately. With the moment you submit, the moment you hit the submit button, you are considered for the merit-based scholarship already. But when we actually talk about the need-based scholarship and the corporate scholarship, once you go on the portal, you will see those scholarships, and most of the scholarship, they expect you to write an essay against it, telling us why do you think that you deserve that scholarship. And if the committee feels that you are eligible to get the scholarship, it's been informed to you. And these are the timelines what we have. Round one deadline is 15th of September. and it's almost 2 months to go to the deadline. And one thing which I want to be very clear about it, and I'm sure Shrikala would also agree to it, is don't wait till the last moment. Okay, if you're still preparing, as I see almost 87% of you are still preparing for your GMAT, right? That's okay. At least start with your at least log into the portal, start with your application, because you would see, apart from GMAT, there are a lot of other things what we are asking you for. Apart from your 10th, 12th and graduation scores, there are a lot of other things which you will take time as well. So you need to make sure that you have enough time to get all the things together. One of them is the recommendation as well. So you need to figure out who your recommender is going to be. Even the recommender would need some time to fill in that information for you. So maybe why don't we actually make use of this Sunday, since most of you are at home already? Soon after the webinar, log into the portal. You can see the portal link down. Log into the portal and take a screenshot of this, so that you will actually realize where you are, what are the things you need to make and keep it ready. Make a checklist out of it and put a timeline to those things before you actually move out or wherever you would want to go this evening. So make sure that this thing is at least sorted by today. And these are the contact information what we have. You can drop us an email or you can give us a call. It's mostly Monday to Friday we are available on the call, and you can also drop us an email. I am also available on LinkedIn. My name is Karan Narang. You can drop me a line on LinkedIn if you need anything to be answered. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So may I please request Shrikala to come back and help us with the Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Karan. Thanks a lot. Guys, if you could just post in your questions on the chat window or the question answer window, what I will do is I'll take questions now and I'll help you answer your questions. And on the chat, I'm also copying two links. One is the ISB interview predict again and the ISB essay analysis for 2019 by Crackable. So you guys can go through and you will get an idea of how you should go about with respect to your profile and how you should go about thinking through your essay questions and making sure you have a good shot at applying to schools such as ISB. Right? Cool. So I'm just going to take a question. So Karan, there is one question from someone that says, what is exactly the difference between R1, R2 and R3? Like what should they choose and how should they go about it?
Right. So around 1, 2 and 3, there is actually not much difference if you actually read on those lines. But let's say in terms of scholarships, so most of the scholarships, they go out in round 1. So the full tuition, full merit tuition waiver, what we have, that goes out in round 1 itself. And we have less scholarship for round 2 and round 3. Also, when it comes to making the batch as well, right? So it's quite logical. When you are in round 1, we have about, let's say we want to choose about 890 to 900 students. So we have more options versus in round 2 and round 3, the number keeps on decreasing, right? But having said that, we don't have a limit saying that round 1 we need, let's say 400 students, or round 2 we need 300 students, nothing on those lines. If we find a suitable candidate, they are part of the batch immediately. So, but there's one thing which I want to make it clear: apply when you think you are ready. If you think that you have a decent GMAT score already or a GRE score already, apply in round 1. If you think that you would need some time to prepare for your GMAT or GRE, and if you think that round 2 is more suitable for you and you will be able to convert that into an offer letter in round 2, go ahead with round 2 or round 3 eventually.
Right. And one more thing I want to, there are some questions where somebody's asked that if I don't get through R1, can I apply in round 3? So, which I guess is not possible. You can only apply in one of the rounds and you cannot apply in all, any of the rounds, all 3 of the rounds, correct?
Right. Just to add to it, you can only apply in one of the rounds. And if you wish to reapply, you can, you'll be coming to us next academic cycle, which is next year, not in the same academic cycle.
Right. Karan, there is a question from someone who says, if somebody has already done an MBA, maybe a long time back, how does ISB consider and look at that kind of a profile?
That's totally fine. I would say I have come across a lot of people personally as well, not related to ISB. I've come across people who have done their MBA thrice, and their third MBA was from ISB. So that's totally fine, provided you have an explanation to it. So let's say if you are sitting in front of the panel, if you get shortlisted, if you're sitting in front of the panel, they would actually ask you, why would you want to do your MBA again? And if you have a good justification around it, yes, it would make a lot of sense as compared to if you're doing it for the first time. So that's totally fine. We totally respect that, and that's totally accepted. And we have had a couple of candidates in the past as well who have done their MBA twice or thrice as well. Yes.
Right. Guys, I'll be taking in more generic questions and not profile-based questions. If you have profile-based questions, please use the ISB interview predictor link so that we can set up a call to help you with your profile. But predominantly, I'll be taking more generic questions right now. I have one more question from someone who says, I'm from an unconventional background. So do ISB look at, say, guys from, like other schools abroad, they look at people who are veterans or from army background or merchant navy background, slightly differently. What are your thoughts on that, Karan?
So as I've already mentioned in the class profile slide, so we do have people coming from merchant navy. We do have people coming from army background as well. So it's again, it brings a lot of diversity for us as well. So again, I'm not sure which background you are from, but if you belong to one of these backgrounds, yes, they do bring out diversity. And again, we are always in support of that.
Right. In fact, I would agree with Karan, completely, because we worked with students who are from, maybe a footwear designer at Myntra, or someone. I remember reading about a Tibetan monk being part of ISB, and like Karan mentioned, somebody who had been part of a beauty pageant. So I guess ISB does value a lot of diversity, and definitely, if you feel you can bring in that diversity aspect, you must apply to schools such as ISB. Right.
More importantly, I would actually want to clear this as well. A lot of people don't understand why we are looking out for diversity, right? So let's say if somebody who has won the beauty pageant versus somebody from army background, they would have a different perspective to look at things. And that is a win-win situation for both of them. They would be able to understand different worlds as well. So that's why any business school would actually go for a diverse batch as compared to a normal or a unilateral batch here.
Right. So I'm just getting too many questions here, and it's getting slightly difficult for me to sort some things. I'm just picking up questions that I can see. So there's one person who says, I'm not sure, Karan, if you are the right person to answer this. So the question says, does the ISB PG Pro offer the same value as compared to ISB PGP? Which I think is, more, PGP Pro is more for executives, right? For part-time program.
Right. To give you a brief about a PGP Pro is for those candidates who have at least 5 years of work experience. It ranges from 5 to 12 years of work experience for PGP Pro. And it's on alternative weekends. So you don't leave your work, you are still working, and you come to either to Hyderabad campus, or we have classes in Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai, where you actually do your classes on alternative weekends while you are studying as well. So I would say if you are okay to leave your work for 1 year for a residential program, go for PGP. And if you're not in a situation where you can leave your work, then you can opt for PGP Pro.
Great. There's one specific question that Karan, I have here is somebody says that, when they apply as a chartered accountant, right, they go through 3 years of articleship. How is the 3 years of articleship counted as part of the work experience?
So when it comes to articleship, sorry, but that's not considered as a work experience here. What they could do is once they happen to be a CA, and once they actually start working in the industry, so that's when their work experience would start. So the articleship is not counted as work experience.
Right. There's one more question. Again, a very different question here. Somebody says, what if their graduation is done from, say, IGNU or something like that? How does that? It's still a proper graduation, but it was done through distance. How does ISB look at that?
So, Igno, I mean, if I've understood that correctly, for those candidates who have done their graduation from distance learning, is it?
Right, right.
Right. So, if the college has been registered under UGC and it's okay. Also, just to be on safer side, I would actually ask them to send their mark sheets to or the transcripts to pgp@isb.edu. We will just run it through our registrar office here once, so that we have a proper confirmation from them that this would be considered as a proper degree. But until it's been registered under UGC, it's totally fine with us.
Right, right. There's one question that is by Harsh, which says YLP is an integrated course. However, it says that, where did that question go? Okay, it says that initial 6 months they will study separately and then it will be merged to the regular PGP program. Is that how that works?
No. So when we actually talk about YLP, YLP is a platform for people, for students who are still in their graduation, right? And who are sure that they would want to go for their MBA in next few years. So when it comes to YLP's program specifically, if you happen to be a YLP admit with stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 after clearing all the 3 stages, you go back to industry for 20 months to work. Meanwhile, doing that, you also come on campus for 1 or 2 weeks for YLP sessions or YLP workshops, what we have on campus. It happens about 2 times during those 20 months. But when you start the PGP course, there is no difference between a YLP candidate versus somebody who has 20 years of work experience in the class. Both of them would be sitting in the same class and you are mixed with the batch from the day one itself. So it's not that if you're a YLP, you would have different classes going on versus somebody who has more years of work experience would be different classes. It's nothing on those lines. You are mixed with the batch on day one itself.
Right. Karan, one more question, where somebody is saying that since, just give me a second. Sorry, I completely missed that question. I'll just go through it once. Yeah. So somebody says, is there an upper limit to the experience part when you're applying to schools such as ISB? Because the average says, we have statistics on the average on the school website. So is there an upper limit on the experience part?
Right. So if you can actually recollect the class profile slide which I showed you, the average work experience says 4.3. But if you see the range, it says it's from 2 years to 20 years. So we don't have any work experience limit as such when it comes to PGP here. So whatever your work experience is, if you think it's less than 22 years, and if you still want to go ahead with your MBA, you can. But make sure that a higher the work experience, the stronger the reason you need to actually convince the panelist as well.
Right. Cool. So thank you, Karan. I think most of the other questions that I'm seeing are more based on profile specific stuff. What I would,
if you don't mind, can I just take a minute on the profile, because since we are receiving a lot of questions, I would actually put a roadmap to this, and everybody can relate to their own profile. Because a lot of people have this doubt regarding what ISB is looking for. Like, if it's not GMAT score, what are you looking for? What do you mean about looking at the holistic approach when it comes to profiling as well? So that's one thing for sure. We do ask for your GMAT score, but we are not only looking at your GMAT score, right? If that would have been the case, we would just have asked you to fill in your academics, fill in your GMAT, and just give you like a confirmation already, right? But there's more what we are looking forward to. So if I may divide the entire application process, we are actually looking forward to 6 different things here. One is your academics. Yes, the course is rigorous, right? So we are looking at your academics here as well. The second thing is awards and achievements. That's nothing but your extracurricular activity, what you have done while you were studying your 10th, 12th graduation, or maybe let's say at work. What are the awards and achievements what you have actually got while studying? Third one, yes, a GMAT or a GRE score, because we just need to know where you would stand when it comes to the academic rigor of the program as well. The fourth one, if may say, it's the essay question. We have already had a discussion on the essay question when it comes to your uniqueness and your goals. The fifth one could be the recommendation, who is the one recommending you and what they are talking about you. That will also play an important role. And the one thing is work experience, where you have worked and what kind of impact you have created. Now, when you look at these 6 things here, you would realize academics, more or less awards and achievements, or work experience, these are fixed. You can't do much about it. But things which are still variable is your GMAT score, is your essay question, and the recommendation. So what has been fixed is fixed. Let that be as is. Concentrate on the things which are variable right now and try to even out your profile. Let's say if you have decent acads in your graduation, make sure you have like much better GMAT score. So even out your application throughout. If you cross all these all the 6 things, you go to the next round, which is the interview round. And during interview, let me actually give you a hint here. During interview, the panelists, they don't have access to your GMAT score. They don't have access to your salary. So entire interview is all about what you are as a person and how much, whatever you have written, how much of it is true. And if you happen to be the same person, what we actually wanted you to be after seeing your application, trust me, then you are part of the class as well. So make sure while you are in the interview, you be honest about who you are, and you are the one writing your essay, because essay is something which the alumni is also going to talk to you about as well. So with this skeleton, you can actually relate your profile, where you stand, and what are the parameters you really need to work on.
Right. There's someone who's asked, I guess Karan has already touched based on the scholarship aspect of it. Karan, is there a percentage in terms of how many people get it in round 1, round 2, or round 3, or is it irrespective of that? It's more potential and credibility based.
So I wouldn't have a number to this, because it totally depends what kind of candidates we get. It could be like in round 1, if we get good candidates, they come to us in round 1, or we wouldn't wait for round 2 or round 3. So all you get to know after round 1 is if you have been selected, or if you are on wait list as well. So I wouldn't have the stats on how many people do come to us in round 1, round 2, or round 3. But it totally depends on the kind of profiles we get. If we get good profiles, they come to us in round 1. We'll make sure that they are in the class in round 1 itself.
Right. Cool. So I guess I'm just going to take one last question. I'm just scrolling through to figure out. Okay, there's one person who's asked that, say, for example, they are earning an X amount of salary right now, and then they go through an ISB program. When the recruiters look at them, do they actually look at their previous salary also into account, or it's completely based on the job role that you are applying for?
See, in most cases, the job role what they're applying, right? So let's say they come to us with some requirement. Let's say if they would want to hire a senior marketing manager for the X brand they're looking forward to. So they already come with a budget, right? So in most cases, that's something which has been offered, but there is a possibility of negotiation as well if it happens to be. But in most cases, they already come with a budget, like this is our upper limit, or this is what we have to offer. It depends a lot on that as well. But I'm sure this question is again going back to the lines of salary growth they would be concerned with. So as you have already seen on the slide, it's we rank number 3 globally when it comes to salary growth as well. So let's say, I'm not saying that that's something what you can expect. I'm just saying that's what has happened in the history.
Right. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. We're almost overshooting the time that we had planned for this session. I see still a lot more profile-based questions coming up. Guys, I would really appreciate if you could just, I'm just putting this link again. If you could just fill up the ISB predictor form, and we will get in touch with you to help you with your individual profiles. Thank you so much, Karan, for being part of the session. We really appreciate your time, and this was really a very, very informative sessions. If you have any last thoughts, otherwise I think we are done for the day.
Thank you so much, everyone who actually come to us on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much, Shrikala and Krakow. I believe you guys are making our life easier to actually solve their doubts and their queries, and helping them to actually reach us. So thank you so much, you and like Mr. Arun as well. Like phenomenal work when it comes to helping students and making them like helping them to make a informed career choice. So you guys are doing great work as well. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Karan. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.